Started. Hey, good morning to everyone. Originally, the goal for this week here in San Diego was to do actual training. So let me just put that out there. I was going to have the eMASS guys come in. We're going to do 2 days of training. We had a training session in Stafford where they kind of went through all of the wickets of eMASS and what you could do there. When they shorted the schedule up and what they did, they gave me 3 blocks, hour apiece. So what I decided to do is kind of walk through what we're going to be doing for training for eMASS, kind of the transition from MCAS to eMASS. And so each session will be individual, but the same training. So once you do this, when you look at the other two, you're like, okay, I'm good. You don't need to come back for the next couple of trainings. What I want to do is catch as many people as we can so they have a chance to come and hear what's going on. So first and foremost, for those who don't know me in the room, I'm Will Bush. I'm the Director for Cybersecurity and Compliance with DCI IC4. Also the authorizing official designated representative for the Marine Corps. So I oversee not just RMF, which is mainly focused here on the system we're going to be talking about today, but also ComSec, PKI, CryptoMod, you name it, it pretty much falls under my category. I mean, anything from breaches to spillages, everything kind of comes through my office. So today, also what part of that portfolio is, from what we all know in the Marine Corps, is MCAS, falls under my purview as well. And that's because we never established as a program of record where it should be a SysCom with Rod Adams and his guys, but not you, but SysCom. So what has happened over time, DCI has taken over the program management of the system, the development, the life cycle, and that's kind of what's led us to this point today of why we're having to transition off. Before I get started with everything, I want to introduce you. I think everybody's met Jamu Bohal. He is a SCA analyst. He's also my SME when it comes to MCAS or EGRC Archer. So he's going to be assisting me in working the transition as we move the Marine Corps out of MCAS into eMASS. He does everything as far as accounts. He runs the system. So every little time you get those updates and stuff, Jamu is the one responsible for that. Yeah, I'm pointing him out. No, he's actually comes to me and say, hey, we need to do an update. We need to take care of things. And him and his group, Larry Brooks is not here as well. He's also assistance on that. So any technical questions, if you have questions, you're saying, okay, you want to get into the APIs or something of that nature, he's going to be my person here to answer those questions for you and get deep down into the weeds. I'm going to just give an overview, how we got here, and then slightly walk through some of the stuff and what eMASS brings to the table, so what you can expect. Kind of then talk about the transition, how long we think that will be. What does it mean for your records that are in MCAS? What does it mean for your ISSMs and ISSOs? Kind of get into those things. I'm going to talk about training, the plan to get the training out to the workforce, both at the schoolhouse, CTCs, and in your individual units. We're going to do a mass push for training. I don't believe in trying to get a system out there. We don't get a proper training on a regular basis, and eMASS has done a pretty good job with that, and they're pretty well embedded from top to bottom. So I want to say about 2011, 2012, we were on Exacta, and maybe we're making that transition from Exacta. From those who don't know, that was our system, and we said, okay, we need to go to a new system. We had eMASS out there that was kind of up and coming. We had EGRC Archers, where this tool that we said, okay, this is a good tool and had a lot of power to it. The decision was made within the Marine Corps to move towards EGRC Archer. There was a battle between SysCom and DCI, or Headquarters Marine Corps, you want to call it, back in the day during that time. And the power struggle kind of led to not becoming a program of record, which was a mistake. We got to admit when we were wrong. And being basically housed up at Headquarters Marine Corps under my predecessor. And for a while that worked. We had the EGRC Archer staff, we had teams working on this, and they were able to keep Archer kind of flowing. And we actually were in a point where it was really good competition between eMASS and Archer, and we had Army looking at coming to Archer and Navy coming to Archer, and it just seemed like, okay, well, this is probably the right path. EGRC Archer is a very, very good tool, lots of components to it that you can do a lot more, probably things that you could do at that time with eMASS. As you could, basically the story goes, we've lost a lot of the support contract for Archer. So then it was all done in-house. We had SCA analysts basically running EGRC Archer. We're taking them away from reviewing packages, developing, and obviously that's, Jamu's still doing it to this day as we still try to maintain. So I think the misnomer out there was that McCass had all the support, all this money, and we were doing things, and it's just not the case. We've been doing this in-house now since I've taken the job 2 years. And that was when I first came on board in 2022, I made the point that, yes, we need to look at where we need to be as a Marine Corps with a tool. So we decided to do a alternative analysis, look at different tools that were out there. At the same time, I instructed my team, and we kind of restructured ourselves to support McCass, because no matter where we went, we needed to support that for you guys. So I did go out and was able to get some EGRC Archer support on a separate contract, brought them back in, said, hey, we need your help to maintain. And it's been kind of steady. If you looked over the last couple of years, it's been steady. It's still, there's glitches here and there, but you could tell that we're not just throwing a whole bunch of new stuff in it and coming up with new things to do in Archer. We were kind of maintaining it. And that was the goal and intent. In the middle of last year, the study was done. They came back. We looked at what we had on our plate, and there was a lot of different things that went into the decision and with coming out of that study. Obviously, funding is always key, how much money is going to cost. But we had to look at other things as well, interoperability with other services. We had to look at our partners that we work with every day. The Navy, Army, Air Force in different areas. We do a lot of reciprocity in those things. So in the end, eMASS, which is kind of like full circle, 13 years now, right? Well, 14 years. I want to say 2025. We just got into it. So we full circle have come back around now to eMASS, and we've decided this is the best way forward for the Marine Corps. Also, we didn't want to put a lot on Syscom. Say, here, built this new system for us. Now you maintain it, and we didn't want to have a system that, if we went another direction, there's no interoperability with the other services. And as I go through some of the slides, and I'm not going to talk each and every slide, but you'll kind of see where I'm going. And obviously, I'd be happy to share these slides with others as we go through it, because there's nothing in here that I can't share. I'm an open book. And you can take a look and see why we did different things, but you'll see kind of why the decision was made to do that. So just point out a couple key things, and again, not going through each slide, everybody can read the slides. It's a software as a service, which is key. That means that we can pretty much put this thing anywhere we want to. Right now, and you correct me on this, Jamu, we're still doing everything with McBoss or HCS. HCS is where pretty much McCass resides right now. It's where it's sitting out in Kansas City. And we run into issues. If HCS has a problem, shut us down, then McCass is down. Yep. So a lot of things have been out of my wheelhouse. I had to make calls out there like, what are we doing? Even calling the program office. Can you get these guys to get this thing going? A lot of inconsistencies there. So this is going to bring us, they're a lot more robust. The software service allows us to put it, in different locations. And I should have touched on this. So we are going to get our own instance of eMASS. So all the other services have their own instance. And what that basically means is, Air Force, Navy, and Army, those are the key four with us. Everybody has their own instance already. For a while, there wasn't a lot of communication between each instance, right? So, but they've kind of opened that up now, where now reciprocity can work a lot better, and we'll talk about that here in a few. So it's grown. For those who've known eMASS for years, you probably say, is that it wasn't able to do that before? You can now. So we are moving closer to that. Plus, we also want to put it at the schoolhouse. We want to teach with this thing. So our instance, being software service, we can actually have it at the schoolhouses. So as our young ISSMs, young master guns, master sergeants, 0699s go through the ISSM course, they'll get their hands on eMASS, and they'll be properly trained on the tool going forward. As you can tell, it's operational, NIPR, SIPR, TS level, JWICS, SAP. So it's pretty much everywhere right now. As a matter of fact, the Marine Corps M2 and M26, by the way, which handles all of our JWICS and TS stuff. Lisa Lee is the AO over there. They already have just moved over to eMASS. So that was another reason. Saying, look, we got to make this transition and move that direction. The subject matter expertise and support services, not going to get into all of it. You'll see a few things here and there. It's very customizable, but they have a very good program office that runs this. So there's a CCB, there's membership. All the services are 10 out of 10, all their meetings monthly as they go through and say, hey, here's things that we need fixed. Here's things we would like to have. And if the Army develops something in eMASS, we get it for free. It's now shared amongst the other services. If we create something in the Marine Corps, the Navy can use that same application. That's huge, because there's things out there, you hear terms like Jupiter, Avana, Timra, all these other tools. Right now, we do not tie into those natively. We're still developing some APIs. I've cut back a lot of the work of tying in APIs because we're kind of doing double the work when we're actually trying to transition over. They're native now into there. But anyway, those are Navy programs that are already built in to work with eMASS for data collection, things that we could actually use and help us out in our everyday jobs. We get those apps. I just say I like to have that. So internally, I'll establish a little more like a CCB within the Marine Corps. And with that being said, you all have a voice. We're not just going to throw everything and say, okay, yeah, this, Rod wants this, let's throw this in here. Or, Stacy wants this and throw this in here, right? What we'll say is, but if Rod comes to me and say, hey, this thing that the Army's using, we'd like to have, I'd be more than happy to say, oh, okay, let me bring it up. Boom, we can get it. Now Rod can use it for what he needs to do on this side. If there's something that's missing, he said, we really could use this and develop. It's not already created by the other services. We can bring that up to the CCB and move forward and have them prioritize it and build that in for us. So a lot of flexibility is where I'm going here with these things. So workflows, it's role-based, which is good for us. We're going to look at restructuring what, as far as what our roles are in the Marine Corps. I try to keep it very similar. I've told Jamu, I don't want to make it so you're like, what role is this? This and that. So we'll keep the traditional. You have AO, AODR, ISSM, ISSO, ISSEs. We're going to maintain the ISSEs, validators. So the roles, they won't change much for you. So you don't worry about us changing a lot of things in regards terminology-wise. But the platform will change just a little bit here. Obviously, it works for all because RMF is really the process that we need to be focused on. This is just the tool that's going to help us support us get there. So let's not forget that. I don't want people thinking this is going to just do everything for us. You still have to know risk management framework. That is our process. And I would ask you that we still maintain and master that art of doing that, okay? It generates dashboards, our digital signatures, everything's embedded. Right now, you get a paper from, either Dr. Corbin, Mr. Dave, or help myself signing something saying, oh, I got an authorization, I'm waived on this or whatever. All that's embedded. It'd be digitally signed so we can just get it done. And you can always go in and pull it when you need to and not have to worry about a piece of paper coming back or something being uploaded, because Diane Clark does a hell of a job. Her team does a hell of a job for me, and just documentation. Okay, that's an all-day job, by the way. I've learned that since I've been here for 2 years. I sign a lot of stuff. The last bullet, we talk about the continuous monitoring support, the inheritance models, and I'll touch on that. But I'm opening this up for questions, Jennifer. This probably won't take an hour. Okay, I'm going to see and kill everybody for an hour. I want more questions than anything else. The inheritance model, I'll talk about the multi-tiered and everything. I'll kind of walk you through the slides for that, kind of show you how that works. But that's going to save you a lot of time. Everybody comes in all the time and said, okay, what am I inheriting? What is McCog providing to us that we can inherit it from an enterprise level, right? That's going to be built in. So you won't have to go in there and say, okay, they already said it's inherited. All I got to worry about is these controls, right? We do have to do CCIs now. That will be coming, okay? We've got away from that for years using McCass. And those who know what CCIs are, you know what I'm talking about. That's going to be painful. But once you do it once, we'll be good. It's an adjustment. But it's a necessary adjustment, guys. Necessary adjustment, especially as we get into R5. And I'll talk a little bit about that. Any questions, anything here on this slide, please feel free. Okay. This one here is talking about the user community. I just wanted you to be able to see this, okay? And if you look down at the far bottom, that's where we're talking about like 2011, 2012. Everybody was kind of there, and you just see that thing just keep moving up. They have over 58,000 user accounts basically right now that they've done in eMASS. You can look at the services that have transitioned over. You can see, based on colors, from unclass all the way up to SAP, how they've put this in place and with who. You can see the Marine Corps IC at the very top there. I was bringing that up earlier. So they just transitioned over. So you can see the growth there, the user base. And that tells us a lot, okay? We're behind. We're going to have to tie in and get into this. We're just falling further and further behind. If you look at this, you say, well, hell, everybody's over in eMASS right now, so who's in McCass or Archer? Us. We're by ourselves. So I know you guys feel a lot of this pain. Reciprocity packages, trying to get stuff done, and you're like, or when you do reciprocity with another service, you got to take the eMASS package, create a new McCass package to get it reauthorized, even though it's already authorized. And I told Dr. Corbin, it's a waste of our time. Why are we doing this? Now, the AO has the authority, the ability to say, I do not accept this reciprocity, but it has to be based on something. You can't just say, I don't want it. High risk. Maybe the risk for the Navy is not as high for the Marine Corps. But you have to justify it. Other than that, it's reciprocity. And we're moving with it. We're not going to second guess another authorizing official from another service. And this also includes DCI with the FedRAMP. It's all tied in here as well. And I talked to Ms. Jackie Snuffer. She's the AO for DCI. And I talk to her pretty regular about the stuff on the cloud. And it's a lot of stuff we inherit from the cloud that we redo all the controls, or you say, okay, what do I inherit? We've tried to do a pretty good job with the cloud inheritance model. We built it, but it's not perfect. And by the way, we just found an instance where somebody made a change to their own controls within this, and it changed it for everybody. And I know that's frustrating as hell to everybody. I remember we've done that before where somebody deleted something, and it took everybody down. And then we had to do a restore. And this man right here drives him crazy about doing restores, right? It's like, jeez, and how good is it? Trying to get us past that. All right, but 22,000, 22.8K systems, 300K so authorization packages, which are all inheritable, really. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we don't need 300 more systems in the Marine Corps, but it's all out there. And you see they do new features pretty much annually, only 200 plus. I mean, that's pretty good. So there may be things out there that other services are doing that's already, tools and things out there that's available to us that we just don't even know. I mean, I've looked at some of the lists and I'm like, geez, I didn't even know that existed. So, not trying to sell eMASS. I'm just telling you why we made the decision to do this and move forward. Any questions here on this slide? All right, so this is just a list of stuff. It's real small, fine print. If you want to copy, again, I can make sure you get that. This one, you look at the top: Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, Space Force, right? And then have U.S. Stratcom. Look, these are all of the ones that are using eMASS right now on for DoD RMF. You also have access to civil RMF. Okay, and I got this question a couple times because we've done a couple programs at Syscom where they wanted to do reciprocity with the states, like California. I think that was one. I had North Carolina. They want to do a reciprocity package with them. And I'm like, oof, they're in eMASS. We've really never done state to DOD. I'm like, okay, how do we do this? Most of the states already have eMASS as well, which is good. And we do a lot of reciprocity. And they're slowly bridging out to a lot of those as well. So the IC community, I know a lot of you are like, okay, well, what am I going to do with IC? We do a lot of programs of record with IC community, SAP programs and stuff, TS down, right? So you have programs that are developed at the TS level that somebody said, well, I want it at the secret level. Hey, I want to use this at the unclass level. And it's this paring down. And I've worked a lot with Syscom, how we pare this down, and Miss Lisa Lee, and kind of going through, say, okay, what can we take from TS and put in SIPR? Okay, now what can we take from there and put into unclass and NIPR? It's a process. Because you're like, okay, this could be a spillage, so you can't include this one. This is what we can do. What artifacts you could have here and there. The good thing here is all tied in together. Again, separate enclaves. I'm not saying you just go to a TS while you're in an unclass and pull a record. But if you need to, there's things you can inherit that can go down to the unclass. We can pull those and be right in there, and you don't have to go and redo everything. This will save a lot of time. And obviously, you can see they've done a lot of stuff with certifications here. FedRAMP, we talked about that, CMMC, so quite a few things. They've done quite a bit of work over the years, eMASS. Any questions on this slide? Yeah, go ahead.
I see a lot of services and everything adopting. So unlike the past where one service has, they decide to bow out, now the Marine Corps is holding the proverbial eggs in a basket. You stated that we're going to have our own instance inside of eMASS.
Right.
Is this instance going to be a program of record supported object where DCI is the sponsor, or is DCI going to be the program management?
My goal, so I'm going to be working with Syscom once we get this thing established, and then have Syscom handle this as a program record for the Marine Corps, right? Funding-wise, put it in a MCPIC and things of that nature. I'm going to let it go. I don't think, and I've come from Syscom, you know that, Rod, and I tell you, I'm not in the PM business up here. I should not be doing program management. I should not be really doing this right now. This should be a Syscom job. Acquisition lifecycle, we need to get it there. So just so you know, I'm washing my hands. I'm trying to get it set up. I am working with Syscom. They know what I'm doing. Goal is eventually say, okay, here you go. You're in maintenance phase. I will try to host the CCBs. From a policy and guidance perspective, DCI, we own that. So we should do the CCBs. But then as the advocate, then I go to Syscom and say, here's what we're looking at. And they'll say, okay, where do we get this funding? Is this a requirement? We'll work it that way, the way it should be done, right? But yes, So once I get this thing transitioned out of my hands, I'm gonna let it go to the people who should be running this. And yeah, don't want to be holding the bag on this one. The good thing is they do everything at DISA. They are the overall program manager, so really Syscom would be just kind of just working with DISA on this and saying, here we go, here's what we need. But I hope that answers your question.
Just thinking of the logistics, short tail, long term,
I
and the
agree.
impacts to the office.
Because when I leave this seat and long gone, I don't want somebody else saying, okay, now how did I inherit this thing? There's other things to do. So, good question, though. Here's just services summary. I'm going to touch on the instructor-led training piece here on this slide. And I'm going to go deeper. This one just talks about the 30 to 60 students because we're going to get down to that level. So I'm starting with a kind of a blitzkrieg, just going out saying we're going to train. We're going to start regionally. Okay, that includes the Midwest. That includes down in Marfort Res. That includes the East Coast. We're going to do just a blitz of training regionally. So East, West, Midwest, get the Marines. We're then going to push it down to the actual basis. We're going to get in Pendleton. We're going to tune in on Palms. We're going to hit Yuma. We're going to hit Lejeune. We're going to hit obviously Quantico. We'll hit the New Orleans, Louisiana, right? Those we're going to get down and start getting there. And let me forget about our brothers and sisters at 3MEF and Marfort PAC. We're going to get all down to Hawaii, and we're going to get in there. From that point, they have a very robust CBT type of training. Once I know we've trained as many people as we can regionally, then gone down to the basis and hit as many as we can there, the CBTs will then start kicking in. So for refreshing training, we're going to also establish regular training at the schoolhouse. So we'll start getting the young ISSMs, like we said, they'll get training at the ISSM course. Then we get CTCs, get out to, so it'll be there. So if you're in Lejeune or you're down in 2MEF, you don't have to send them out to 29 Palms. So we'll get into CTC and have training. You also have CBTs, again, constantly going. So we're going to keep the training going. It's all included with what we're purchasing. Training's included. They were going to be here this week if I had more time to teach, right? More time for no schedule. They were just ready. DISA has been very open for us moving to eMASS. I mean, I've had no problems with them saying, hey, what do you need from us? And I think they want us as a customer, right? But lot of training, the instructor-led training, so they will be there on site. We're going to get as many people trained as possible. And I'm going to do that before we transition fully into eMASS. So don't think it's going to wait until eMASS is in place. I'm going to tell you in a few that we're going to start that early. I want to get started sometime in March, actually.
How long was the training?
So we did a course in Stafford, and we did 3 days.
Yeah.
We did 3 days. That was with some of my SEAs, senior analysts. I had McCog there, Marfort Cyber, CD&I. So I had those guys come in. I wanted them to get a chance to see what the training is like. But so we may not need that level. I mean, I had people like Jamu's doing like API development and stuff like that. They were talking that level. I say we're probably looking at 2 days. I think we can do about 2 days. Of course, what do you think, Jamu?
I think their normal course is about 3 days, but they can pare it down based on.
So, and I say that Mexicans because I understand we can't let Marines. I know it's like 3 days.
They need the training. I mean, it's 3 days, it's 3 days.
Right. I'm glad to hear that.
So you're not going to get any fight from all.
Good.
I just need to be able to put this on the budget, on the cut.
Yes. You know, get the Marines at the I&I, get them out there, right? Could bring them in so they can come down to Marfort Res and get that. And I say that, you know, being 20 years in the Corps and, you know, working my way up and doing the same things you're doing, trying to get, now I got people, can I let this guy go? I always thought training was priority. But I have seen that not all Marine leaders believe that sometimes. They're like, I got other stuff he can do. I can't let him go for 2 days. And it's set.
That's my fear.
Oh, right.
That's my fear.
And that's why I'm going to be pushing with the 99s. Please let's let these guys get out there. Talk to those G6 and say, we need to get these guys into training 3 days is not that long.
Yeah.
And in the end, they're gonna be better than trying to tell you, hey, Master Guns, I don't know how to do this. I never had to do this before. You haven't had training? No, I haven't had training. Well, it's been available all the time. Why are we not training? Well, I had to do something, some prep, workups for exercise or something, which, I mean, that's a priority, but go ahead, Jamal.
I don't want to go out there and kind of put too much, but I'm your huckleberry if anybody needs any additional support. So, at least for the time being. So, feel free to reach out. We can get people additional tools, resources, if it comes through where they have to have truncated training or so moving forward. We want to make sure everybody is good to go with this platform. All right.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Bush. I presume government civilians is included in that training, is that correct?
That's correct.
And then what about the contractors? Do you have contracted personnel? Can you get them up
We
there?
can train whoever you want to train.
Okay, thank you.
I want to train anybody in the cyber workforce. I'm not turning anybody away. If I got a captain who's, just working at the G6 and maybe, he's not doing RMF, he wants to attend, why not? Let him attend. Eventually, he may be out there, he may have to put his hands on the system himself, or at least tell somebody what they need to do. Contractors are more than welcome. We're not going to restrict anybody from attending the training, right? In the past, those who've been around a while, we used to do Don IT East and West. We've been doing this for years, and I know, Josh will probably laugh. We used to do McCAS training, and people said it was just more like teaching validators how to validate the training. That's why I killed that. That was not worth our time. We say it was McCAS, but it was like, oh, I'm teaching you to be a validator, and as you know, I restructured the whole validator thing, so we didn't have to do that. But when we come here, I like to talk about what we're doing and what's going on, not some McCAS tool training. Now, with that being said, once we get eMASS into play, I have no issues coming to Don IT East or West and saying, we're gonna have a training session, have actual eMASS training so we can catch those cats and dogs. Because I just said, teach them eMASS. I'm not worried about just for the validators and things like that. So, everybody's welcome. Yeah, I don't want to leave anybody out. And I think the last bullet down there, talks about we talked about kind of like they got an RMF tag and all that good stuff. But we want to keep the CCBs. We're going to establish a process so voices can be heard from the users and make sure we take a look at what they're asking for. Because those young Marines, sometimes they're on there like, why do we have to go through all of this to do that? I get that too. Like, we can make things simpler. We're not trying to make their job so they don't have to do the job. We want them to do it, but we don't want to make it complex and just like, why are we doing that? That's happened many times. I look so like, that's just overkill. But anyway, so that's pretty much the goal there. I mean, this is, again, these are simple slides, but it's just enough for you to take a look at and say, okay, I track what's going on here. Let me see before I go here. Get into backups here. Not worry about the contracts. I'm sure y'all does not worry about that. Maybe Rod's worried about it. Hey, so these are all eMASS slides. They provided me these slides, so I just want to know this is not me creating these. Continuous monitoring, continuous ATO. This is how we get there. This is how we get there. When everybody asks me, hey, how do I get a continuous ATO? Or we call it ongoing authorization in the Marine Corps. That's a whole nother complex thing. DOD owns the terminology continuous ATO. And if you want to ask, I could tell you about that later. But anyway, ongoing authorizations. Like, how do we get there? I want one of those, Will. How do I get, can you give me one so I don't have to ever come back here again? My ATO is good for life. Well, part of anybody's read on ongoing authorization, continuous ATO, ConMon is a part of that. You have to do active cyber defense, that's part of it. You got to have like a DevSecOps kind of environment set up, that's part of it. There's a lot of different things, like 4 different pieces you have to meet to say, let's get to ongoing authorization. The hardest part is ConMon. It's the hardest part because it's mostly manual right now. You know, Rod, I'll just use you for example. If you need to get something done, you have to activate guys, hey, let's get the scans done. Now, you may have it already scheduled. We do these quarterly. We do this bi-weekly, whatever it is you do. But somebody has to go and do this thing. They have to go and scan. They have to pull the scans. They have to put it in a poem. Then somebody has to score it and comes to you. By that time, it's a month gone by. You know, some new ones have come out. We're redoing this thing all over again. So they just keep piling up. You know, shrink it. It piles back up. We need to automate. So not just the good thing about eMASS and what I really appreciate about it is a lot of these tools, and I'm not going to call one specific company out over others, so I won't do that. A lot of these tools that we have available to us can feed into, they can do the scans and all that stuff and just feed it straight into eMASS. You know, give you the CVSS scoring and this and that. Yes, the ISSM needs to go in and look and say, okay, why is this high? No, it's not high, that's a moderate. We finished that. That still needs to be done. But that helps with the continuous monitoring authorization because you're not having quarterly, bi-weekly. I mean, I know, it's tedious. It's hard to keep up. And you say, okay, at the end, I just want to keep my ATO. So every year, there should be some sort of thing you go through. We know we do annual security reviews. But that's kind of should be just part of like, okay, yep, everything's good. We've been doing this daily. We've been doing this weekly. I got this stuff rolling right now. Feed into eMASS. So the poems are being updated, things are being changed. You got threat analysis. We should have threat analysis tools that are built in. We can do the threat analysis on different pieces and parts of the system. In the end, somebody says, okay, so there's now this ATO. Do I have it for life? So we've done a couple ongoing authorizations. We still have to somehow oversee and make sure things are being done. So when people say, well, I only got 3 years, I get this for life. I got a ATO that's continuous ATO or something of that nature. Yeah, but you have to come back. So there's nothing saying you get it and you just get an indefinite date, 2099. We used to do that. Remember down the poems? We do stuff like, hey, we'll get this done by 2099. Like, what? It'll never be done. Basically, you got to put a date, so we just do 2099 for some reason in there. But
It's honest.
yeah, they're probably still in there. But the key is, so every 3 years, it's not like you have to come back for a new thing. What we're going to do is automate that. Hey, if Rod's system has been doing this and we're good, check, we spit out, hey, here's another 3-year ATO. He's never had to even ask for it. We just spit it out. He gets another 3 years. Because we could tell things have been monitored, he's been doing his thing, and the system just spits it back out. That's continuous authorization, not, okay, Rod got it, see you in 2099. This thing lasts forever. So I just want to make it clear. I think people ask, like, wow, we got 3 years on it. It's the same as we had before. No, if before, in the way we're doing things now, you have to put a whole package together, resubmit it to the SCA. He gives a recommendation. He goes, hey, and you're like 30 days. This thing expires in 30 days. Is Dr. Corbin, somebody going to sign this before the thing expires? That's how it's going right now. And you're like, I need that by now. Continuous means we'll just continue moving through and moving us out. eMASS helps us with that. The inheritance automation, killer. Just the way you're going to be inherit things. And we're going to do reciprocity different. If the Army, I use FAT as an example. The Army has already authorized it. I don't need you to put it back into our instance of MCAS or eMASS. It's already out there. It just referenced the Army record. We did reciprocity. FAT reference Army eMASS 11775. Okay, good to go. I can always go and pull it. How long is it good for? Oh, they get it for 3 years, so okay, good. Or they put a DATO on it. Then I can get it. You get it automatically. You be mad whoever FAT is. Damn, they put a DATO. What are we doing here? But it'll be live. It'll be real, near real time, right? With the Army on their system. So, but the inheritance piece, going back to that, all those controls, you can inherit from multiple systems with eMASS, which is cool. So if your application or systems, you can inherit from multiple. You don't have to just do it from one. Yeah.
Have you heard anything about inside of eMASS across the services where for a 0-day quarantine action, they can do it inside of eMASS and notify down and through?
They have mass notification capabilities, yeah. We get, there's a lot of different ways that they ping
Because that
stuff.
way the primary service who's responsible for a particular record, going back to your example, if it has a 0-day and needs to go into quarantine, they can flag the darn thing in eMASS is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And then it notifies all using services of the issue into eMASS as well. Not saying that it's a replacement for the
Well,
message traffic stuff.
why don't we
but
take
at least-
that, write that down. Let's take that for you, Rod. We'll get with,
Matt, I know that they have mass
That'd be a
notices,
good alert for the daggone AOs
yeah.
across services.
Especially if you're inheriting a control and it gets flagged for
Correct.
something.
yeah.
Yeah, I know as far as we can actually get STIG level reporting on control failures, so that, I believe there is something in there, but I'll take it down and I'll get back.
Yeah, let's get a, Rod, we'll get with Jamu. He'll get that, get an answer for you on that.
Yeah.
All right, these guys are pretty quick.
Quick comment to that. My feelings is eMASS is first and foremost an authorization tool. We start to put too many things to make it something different. That's great, but I think we gotta focus first on getting the authorization piece squared away. Because the issue that's gonna come up is to be effective from a vulnerability management perspective, you gotta have a good grip on the assets. If you don't have a good grip on the assets and it's spread out across multiple packages, you're creating a recipe for disaster, right? Because if you don't know where your assets are, how are you know you're gonna get a good, accurate representation of what vulnerability is?
Yeah, so they do a pretty good job of their CM configuration management as far as knowing, gathering information. Okay, so the assets, they do it 10 times better than we do it right now.
Yeah, because currently the way McCass is set up, we've got a kind of stovepipe between OPDRS for vulnerability tracking and
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, but he's talking about assets, right?
Yeah.
You know, so that's always been in McCass, by the way. Put your hardware and software, but not everybody does it. Spread out. And we don't know what versions they have, and it's in, this also connects to Dipper Don and Dipper, right? So Army and Navy and Air Force, I think they're on Dipper as well. But, so, you're right, we have to have good asset. And I want to say this because I agree with you. We don't want this to become the system of system like this does everything. What I think where we're going here and what they've done good with eMASS, it is a authorization tool. They've allowed a lot of tie-ins to do different things. So you, as the SCA, you as the lead ISSM, have more visibility and ways to get data to make decisions. That's something we don't have. So I just want to parse it. I don't think, a Timber feed, something from Jupiter, Avana, multiple other tools are out there, Exonius or whatever you want to use, and all, Mandiant. Yeah,
You can't go down that route to expand capability, but I think we need to make sure
I agree.
we do the most important things.
So one of the things I'm gonna talk to here in a few is the transition plan, and that's part of it. So, and I don't wanna go through just random slides here. You can read all that stuff and all that. So let me just jump into what everyone's probably wondering. And again, I'm just going through slides, so don't pay attention to that. All right. So funding is the first thing. They've given me what it will cost for us to do this over the next 2 years. We don't think it'll take 2 years. The estimates that I'm getting from the team and we're lining up is about 9 months for unclass, which is our heavy lift. And SIPR be another 2 or 3 months. So really, we're probably looking at a good year. Fully transition NIPR and SIPR over to eMASS. I'm being really optimistic as put my old program management hat on, I'm looking at really reality. But reason I feel confident in this is because they just did the Army some years ago. They got a lot of lessons learned. They created new tools. They have really become really good at this over the years of moving others into it. We're not the first. Army came from Exacta. They were still on Exacta, and they moved them over. So I think optimistically, 9 to 12 months, fully transition. What's gonna happen during that time? MCAS will still be on. We're not gonna just let you guys go and be like, I got nothing, what do I use? During that 9 months to a year, training will still be conducted, so you can get all your ISSMs out there, they can get the training. They may not have hands-on yet, but they'll know what's coming, and the CBTs will help them once the system's online, so that's my intent there. If they forget how to do a username or something like that, right? We'll get accounts created for everybody, we'll get that, start going, so the accounts are there. The heavy lift comes to the systems themselves, the programs, all right? We had two choices, really the direction to go with this, and I've kind of chosen a hybrid. First was they could import everything, they could set up XMLs and then just import and boom, they got a lot of tools for this. One for one, username to username, system name to system name, acronym to acronym, all that kind of thing. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. Moving from MCAS to eMASS or Archer to eMASS. That'd be great. I think we can't do that, and there's reasons. The second is you start from scratch, and your ISSM goes in and he puts in the system name, the acronym, and all the artifacts he had he puts in, but he has to fill in hardware, software. He's got to do a little more attention to detail here, because those things have to be filled in before it moves. So it won't allow you to do like MCAS, we can just bypass it. Oh, I got to get this ATL, so I don't need to put my hardware in. Can you, push me over to, to step 4 or something, and we'll come back to this some other time? Nah, it's not gonna happen. Or let me just upload an artifact with all my hardware. It's in a Excel spreadsheet. That can't happen. There may be ways to import it now, but it's got to be done to move forward. That's long. That's tedious. You got CCIs now, so every control, you got to go do the CCIs. So again, those are my two options, and I'm pushing towards a hybrid. The reason we can't fully just import everything into eMASS is because the Marine Corps has decided to customize the hell out of MCAS. Our stuff doesn't even look anything like eMASS. The field names don't match. We've spent a hell of a lot of time looking at how did we create that? We're so used to it. I know you're like, what are you talking about? Well, I can see both, and I'm like, I don't understand how we didn't do this. Jamu just told me the other day, he's like, him and Jeff Combs have been going through this thing, and they're like, it's not much to import. We would literally have to say, okay, whatever we decide to call this field in MCAS, in the XML schema, say, take that field, move it to this field over here, because we call it over here. Imagine how much more time that's gonna damn take. So we put ourselves in this. We're in this together, all right? So I'm gonna be honest with you, it's gonna be some work. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of both. We're gonna import what we can, and then we're gonna say, hey guys, you're gonna need your ISSMs to go in here and manually put in each record, and they're not gonna be happy. They're not gonna be happy, I know. Don't give them my phone number. I'm just gonna say, just call back to Rod. He's your boss. Shit, I don't know. But I'm just telling you, it's gonna be some work. Now, once it's done, it's done. eMASS is we're not moving. We're gonna have much more interoperability with other systems, and it's gonna be easy to do things with other services now. Once it's done, it's done. The CCIs are done. R5 conversion, done. All of it done. Now, that doesn't mean it ends. We know next year they come out with something else. DoD say, they do this every damn time. Every time I talk to them, they got something new. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I can't help you with that. But I do push back. I push back on the R5 stuff and all those good things for you guys, because MCAS just isn't ready. But it's gonna take time to do that. Now, the question everybody's gonna say, well, okay, Will, so MCAS will be up and running. You're transitioning all the stuff in the background to eMASS. I got my ISSMs creating new records over here. What about the ATO for I got due in July? What happens with that thing? I'm gonna do automatic extensions. We're gonna push everything a good year and a half, okay? I understand, I'm using common sense here, okay? I know I've talked to Dave and Corbin about this, and I gotta get, they're all like, oh, we don't have that kind of manpower. What do we wanna do here? We gotta prioritize. okay? And I think priority is getting us over to eMASS right now. Now, that doesn't mean we're not gonna look at your systems. You still need to do the things you need to do. But if your ATO expires in July, August, and we're in the middle of the transition, and you got ISSMs now trying to put everything, this gives them a chance to put everything in eMASS and do what they need to do once it's up and running, right? Just have the authorization done. I'm gonna blanket it. So it won't be like you have to send me your records and, okay, this one's on there and this one's not. We're gonna do some sort of a blanket. We're gonna make sure you're taken care of in the system. We'll discuss this with, and DOD's aware we're moving, Navy's aware, Don's aware we're moving, so there's no surprise. They know what we're doing. They're not gonna come back and say, hey, you can't do that. Yeah, they know what we're doing. And they want us to do it, by the way. So, I'm sorry, go ahead, Rod.
Understanding the transition timeline and everything is going to be critical to everybody. That's a recognized object. But from a DOD down through Marine Corps mission set, systems that are subject to financial audit should be considered a priority to get them in first. The reason being, that they have what's called notices of findings and recommendations from the DODIG, that they have a timeline that they must meet for the Marine Corps to continue receiving its favorable audit opinion. We're the only service to have one.
That's right.
We can't risk that. That's a commandant priority. What is the consideration from, for eMASS transition towards that? Are we getting the financial controls into eMASS? Are they being notified that, hey, you're gonna have the first year that you need to get in?
Did Leonard Dart call you and tell you to ask me that question? No, I'm messing with you. So Leonard, we may have talked about this, and we are going to prioritize. I'm doing this mainly because of FISCAM. We know that that was part of this decision too as well, by the way, just so you know. He's on board and he's helping me find the money because he's like, yeah, we got to get this done. So we will, as far as, let me start here because I want to answer your question and hopefully I don't miss it. As far as what we're going to start with the transition, we got to get the inheritable stuff from McCog and the enterprise level stuff in first. That's going to be done first. That way they can't say they didn't have a chance to do what they need to do. Then we're going to start prioritizing systems. I'm sure the financial systems will be near the top of the list. We got weapons systems that will probably have to be at the top of the list. We'll go through and determine, talking to you guys, where do we think the priorities need to be? And then we can work, the very bottom is, okay, non-connected system, disconnected systems, just pit systems, things of that nature, right? So it is become priority. We are going to prioritize where we're going to go. We also have to make sure it's up and running, right, has the right inheritance model for you guys. Then say, okay, you can get in and do this piece and do all the stuff you need to do, but we are prioritizing as well. So we're setting that. I'm actually working with the team to get at, put an actual IMS together, and that will be laid out in there, what we're going to do, and we'll start saying, okay, these systems, because we want to see how this thing is going to work as well. But we don't want to put you in this, and then it's junk, right?
Yeah, once you get one of the big systems, weapon systems.
Yes.
Audit
National
system,
security systems, yes, yep.
Once you get one of the big ones in each category, the rest of them will really start flowing.
Yeah. So from an unclassed perspective, I think the financial system is going to be near the top. Because like I said, SIPR will go next after unclassed is done. That's where we have our NSS and those systems, right? But our business systems, our financial systems, all this, and we need to get that done. We need to maintain. Yeah. But McCass, this is the reason we had to come up with McCass, by the way, because we could not support what you guys wanted. We've been working for years on fields and all this other stuff. Yeah. So, go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah, speaking to it, that's part of why we're running McCass concurrently with eMASS, is so that if those requirements come up for an audit, you can refer them back to McCass until the transition is complete.
Well, the beauty of when you announce that you're in a transition from a financial audit perspective, you can seek redress so they do not cover those particular controls that audit year.
Perfect.
So as soon as we get notice, officially, we'll be able to provide that to the auditor, say, here's why we're using this, and the data may not be exactly what you want, but it's in transition.
Yeah. let me get Juan first, Dave, unless you had something to his question. Okay, Juan, go ahead.
Real quick, in regards to the import of information from MCAS to eMASS, I presume your team knows what can easily be transitioned or easily be imported, from MCAS to eMASS, so would they identify that to help folks, so they don't have to be like, oh, wait, this can't be imported, that can't be imported? I presume they're gonna help identify those fields that can be easily imported?
Yeah, we're currently working on a matrix.
Outstanding. And then the other thing was, I understand that you don't want, like, some fields don't match, and there's like a lot of work that would be done to convert that. But are there any fields that are like more important or that would help, the people trying to do this transition that could be, converted over?
So there's a couple deltas that we're going over here, sorry, let me make sure. So, trying to think about the best way to put this. So we've got a ton of information that was put in, because MCAS was developed independently of eMASS, so it's kind of its own beast. So we have missing information that is kind of foundational to a package that we're not tracking and never have, and we would have to retroactively apply that, which is why we're asking for system owners to go through and reassess their systems to grab that information. And you have information that we were tracking, but it's like if you had Mrs. Butterworth as syrup, and you only had her head, right? And then the rest of the body's gone. Yeah, so we've only got partial information, we've got information we are tracking, and then we've got ones that we're mapping completely. And the ones we can map completely, we'll provide.
Yeah, so Juan, you know, and I think he said it pretty straightforward. The problem isn't just like, it's like a misname or we've never collected this information ever before.
Yep.
It's stuff that we've never collected. So we've never done it. So it's almost like it's missing completely, like it's gonna be new. You're like, okay, I've never seen that before, but yeah, we have to have it, right? So that's kind of when we say missing, what we're talking about. It's not just, oh, this field is named something different than this one. That's a simple one. It's like, it's crazy just looking at it. Dave?
Sure, Will. So just trying to clarify what I think I understood. So system A, ongoing system, has an ATO, but ATO comes due this June, July timeframe. That's the kind of system that's going to get the extension. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm gonna look at it, Dave, because I thought about that. I'm like, man, I just start picking these dates of this. I think I'm gonna blanket all.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna blanket all. If you have a current authorization, legitimate, you get blanketed, right?
Gotcha.
It's tough.
Similarly, I'm thinking timeline-wise, right? You got system B currently with ITT, ITB, moving towards an ATO does not yet exist in about the same timeframe. How do we proceed toward that? Do we stay in MCAS?
Yes.
Is that approved?
Yeah, we will stay in MCAS and finish up the ITT, ITB.
Well, we got those.
Yeah,
But ATO.
yeah, they're working on it.
Yeah.
That's a great question. It's like, so what do we do? You're talking about like a new start, basically. Like, what do we do with a new program, new start?
It's not totally new because the TB and TT are in MCAS now.
Yeah,
But we're, like, next step is the ATO. It's about the same timeline this summer.
right.
How do we handle that?
So what I made, I'm coming out saying, okay, look, if you have a current ITT, ITB, and you're trying to move to become a program, your gear work, which is a STEM ITT, ITB, those get extended out automatically as well. And let them hold until eMASS is ready so they can just start in eMASS with the program, right? Or start working on that package. It's kind of hard. It's like, where do you go, right? Where do you stop? I mean, sorry, that is so hard. And I think that's where I got to talk to people like you and say, what do you want to do here? Because at some point you got to stop and start somewhere, and you got to like, well, do you continue down this road? And it's really going to be how important it is, right? We're going to let them look at the priority of it, right? And say, like, I can wait on this. If you give us an extension on this, we'll just use this out until we're done.
Yeah, we're on.
Because I hate for what and the reason I say this, Dave, what I would hate is people start working on a package in McCass, and they do all of that work, and like we just talked about, it doesn't even match up. Now we have them redo everything in eMASS. That's like, man, that's gonna suck. They can say, why didn't you just stop me? You know, and that's why I'm trying to take that pain out of it, because it's not their fault.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
100%. Like, the last thing I want to do is bleed over the same ground twice.
Yeah.
But by the same token, I'm on a timeline to get to production.
Right,
You know what I mean?
Right.
Getting to production probably is more important than bleeding over the same ground twice.
no, I agree. So, more to look into that. I agree with you. That's a great question. Yes, how's it going? Yes.
With the new IoT, you have to do those all the time. When do you have to stop dead, drop dead IoT? Do you know who our IoTs in the past?
So I don't have those dates yet. Once I start looking at the transition plan, I get the transition plan approved by my leadership. They say, I'm good with this, Will. We've thought it out. That's when I'll come out and say, here's to Dr. Corbin, Mr. Dave, here's what we need to do. Stop. Let's do this, extend these out, and this is the plan. Yeah, I don't have that date yet, because there's a couple things. We still have to continue working on funding and working that transition plan. And this is it's a massive overhaul, because there's a lot more work. And the easy part is the eMASS. They're just gonna come over and make things start happening. But I'll have more on that, and here's a couple things. So I am starting up, I haven't talked about it yet, but we are starting up, I got a 0699 that's gonna be coming back to my team in the near future. And the goal is he or she will be hosting quarterly meetings with the ISSMs, like we used to do before with retired Master Gunnery Sergeant Fickle, right? And that's the goal. That 99 will be a voice for me to get out to you guys on a more consistent, regular basis. He or she will inform you, here's what we're looking at, here's these days, and then when something final comes out, you'll have it, right? So I'm gonna stay in touch with you guys. Don't worry. You won't say to wait till next year, like, I haven't seen you in a year, Will. What's going on? And we'll make sure you're well informed of what's going on as we move, okay? Any other questions? Outstanding. I think we had this for 1 hour, right? That was the first clip. For those who came in late, I was going to tell you, so we got another one starting up in a few minutes, and I'll start back over. So we have 3 of them. And each one's on site to be the same information. So you want to come back here in a few minutes, we'll go ahead and get started with the next one and get you guys in. Any questions from everybody else? Well, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it.